I was a soldier for 12 years. I was never told when I would be released. My country has no courts, no free press, no elections, no future. This is the reality for millions of Eritreans. A country in the Horn of Africa, sometimes called Africa's North Korea. A country with one of the largest refugee diasporas in the world relative to its population, where the government forces every adult into indefinite military service, where you can be shot for trying to cross the border. In this video, we look at why people flee Eritrea: indefinite conscription, forced labor, torture, religious persecution, and a shoot-to-kill border policy. 13 cases from our database. This is their story. Let me give you some background. Eritrea is a small country in the Horn of Africa. It borders Ethiopia, Sudan, Djibouti, and the Red Sea. The population is about 3.6 million, and hundreds of thousands have fled abroad, making Eritrea one of the largest sources of refugees per capita in the world. Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia in 1993, after a 30-year war. The leader of the independence movement, Isaias Afwerki, became president. He is still president today. There have been no elections, ever. The 1997 constitution was written, but never implemented. In September 2001, everything changed. A group of senior government officials, known as the G15, wrote a letter asking for democratic reform. They were all arrested. Independent newspapers were shut down. Journalists were detained. Most of the G15 are believed to have died in prison. None were ever charged or tried. Today, there is no independent media, no civil society, no political opposition, no independent judiciary. Freedom House gives Eritrea a score of 2 out of 100. That is one of the lowest scores in the entire world. Between 2020 and 2022, Eritrean forces were involved in the Tigray War in northern Ethiopia. Multiple investigations have documented atrocities committed by Eritrean soldiers: extrajudicial killings, widespread sexual violence, looting. Eritrean forces remain present even after the ceasefire. As many as 300 refugees cross the border to Ethiopia every day. Footballers and athletes are among the few privileged groups able to travel outside Eritrea. Many take the opportunity not to return to what could be a life in indefinite national service. If you have fled Eritrea, our team of expert witnesses based in the United Kingdom can help. We prepare independent country reports that support asylum claims. The link is in the description. This is the single biggest reason people flee Eritrea: the National Service Program. On paper, Proclamation 82 of 1995 says national service lasts 18 months, 6 months of military training, 12 months of active service. That is the law. The reality is completely different. In practice, there is no end date. People serve for years, for decades. The United Nations Special Rapporteur has documented cases of people serving for over 20 years. You are not told when you will be released. You have no right to refuse. You have no right to appeal. It starts at school. All students in their final year, at around 17 years old, are sent to Sawa Military Training Center. This is not optional. At Sawa, they complete their last year of schooling while undergoing military training. From that point, they are in the system. After Sawa, you are assigned. You could be sent to the military. You could be sent to work on a construction project. You could be sent to work on a farm owned by a general. The pay is around 500 nakfa per month, a sum insufficient even for basic subsistence. It is not enough to feed a family. The conditions are brutal. Human Rights Watch has documented forced labor, torture, and inhuman treatment. Women in the service face sexual violence. If you try to desert, you are imprisoned. If you try to avoid the draft, your family can be punished. Your parents can be fined or detained.
The National Service Program is a system of social control and indoctrination, where coercion and grave human rights violations are widespread. The length of an individual national service is arbitrary and left to the discretion of the authorities, with most Eritreans being forced to flee, to serve for periods spanning from several years to over 2 decades. The system of indefinite military service, national service, that amounts to forced labor and has been consistently linked to torture, inhumane and degrading treatment.
Imagine having no control over your life. Imagine having no choice over your education or career, being separated from your loved ones, being forced to work under threat of imprisonment, under threat of torture, for a meager pay that is not sufficient to sustain your life. Now imagine living like this for years, sometimes for decades. The system of indefinite military service amounts to forced labor and has been consistently linked to torture, inhuman, and degrading treatment. Our database contains 7 cases directly linked to national service. Let me tell you about one. A young man, I will call him Philemon, he was called up for national service when he was 18. He was sent to Sawa. After his training, he was assigned to a military unit. He served for 8 years. He was never given a release date. He was beaten for questioning his superiors. When he tried to visit his family, he was told that leaving his post without permission was desertion. Philemon eventually escaped. He crossed the border at night. He made it to Sudan, then to the United Kingdom, where he claimed asylum. When our expert assessed these cases, the conclusion was clear. Indefinite national service in Eritrea is not a normal military obligation. It is a system of forced labor. Return would mean reconscription, punishment for desertion, and serious risk of torture. Leaving Eritrea is itself a crime. You cannot leave the country without an exit visa, and exit visas are almost never granted. The borders are militarized. Soldiers have standing orders to shoot anyone trying to cross.
It is a sad reality when your home, the land you grew up, turns out to be an open prison. Every corner you turn there is fear and sorrow.
This is not an exaggeration. The shoot-to-kill policy has been documented by the United Nations, Human Rights Watch, and multiple independent investigations. People who are caught trying to flee are imprisoned, tortured, and in some cases killed. It is a sad reality when your home, the land you grew up in, turns out to be an open prison. Every corner you turn there is fear and sorrow. There is a shoot-to-kill policy if you are caught trying to cross the border. Those who make it out face another set of dangers. The routes go through Sudan, through Libya, across the Mediterranean, or through the Sinai Desert to Israel. Along the way, trafficking, kidnapping, torture for ransom, women are subjected to sexual violence. People die in the desert, at sea, in smugglers' camps. Our cases include people who cross the border at night, walking through the desert for hours, avoiding military checkpoints. Some were caught, some were imprisoned. Some tried multiple times before they made it. Eritrea only permits 4 religions: the Eritrean Orthodox Church, the Roman Catholic Church, the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and Sunni Islam. Every other religion is banned. If you belong to any other religious group, Pentecostal, Jehovah's Witness, Evangelical, Baha'i, any other, you face arrest, detention, and torture simply for practicing your faith. Jehovah's Witnesses have been stripped of their citizenship since 1994, after they refused to participate in the independence referendum and military service. 3 men, Paulos Ayasu, Isaac Mogos, and Negede Teklemariam, have been detained since 1994. That is over 30 years, without charge, without trial. Pentecostal and evangelical Christians are held in metal shipping containers in the desert. These containers are used as prisons across Eritrea. In the day, the temperature inside can exceed 50 degrees. At night, it drops to near freezing.
Freedom of religion or belief is repressed, with periodic waves of arrest, of mass arrest, and efforts to control all aspects of religious life and institutions. The situation of Eritrean victims of enforced disappearance remains extremely concerning. Hundreds of families of disappeared Eritreans live with agony of uncertainty. This is the plight of dozens of Eritrean Muslim leaders and teachers disappeared since the 90s. Religious figures, political dissidents, journalists like Siam Teshai and Daud Isaac. The situation is ongoing, in some cases for over 30 years.
Freedom of religion or belief is repressed with periodic waves of mass arrest and efforts to control all aspects of religious life. Dozens of Eritrean Muslim leaders and teachers disappeared since the 1990s. Religious figures, political dissidents, journalist David Isaac. The situation is ongoing, in some cases for over 30 years. The Orthodox Church, which is the largest religious group in Eritrea, is also controlled by the state. In 2007, the government deposed the patriarch, Abune Antonios, and placed him under house arrest. He remained in confinement for the rest of his life. He died in February 2022 without ever being permitted to return to his congregation. In 2021, the government made a formal announcement about his status that was widely disputed by his supporters and human rights organizations. Our cases include people persecuted for their religious beliefs. One case involves a man detained for attending an unregistered church. Another involves a Muslim man targeted for his faith. In Eritrea, there is no political opposition. There are no elections. There is no free press. There is no habeas corpus. The entire system operates outside the rule of law. The crackdown of September 2001 set the tone. 11 senior officials arrested for demanding reform, journalists detained, newspapers shut down. None of the detained have ever been charged or tried. Most are believed to have died in prison. One of the journalists detained in 2001 is David Isaac, a Swedish Eritrean journalist. He has been in prison for over 23 years, without charge, without trial. Reporters Without Borders consistently ranks Eritrea among the worst countries in the world for press freedom. The United Nations Commission of Inquiry on Eritrea published its report in 2016. The conclusion: crimes against humanity have been committed in the context of widespread and systematic human rights violations. Enslavement, imprisonment, enforced disappearances, torture, persecution, sexual violence. The Commission found that these were not isolated incidents. They were government policy.
Since the Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in Eritrea concluded that crimes against humanity may have been committed in a context of widespread and systematic human rights violations, yet no meaningful progress has been made towards accountability. As detailed in my report, there have been no investigations, no prosecutions, and no truth-seeking processes.
Our database contains 13 cases from Eritrea. Let me group them by what they experienced. 7 cases involve people who fled indefinite national service. They were conscripted as teenagers. They served for years, some for over a decade. They were beaten, starved, forced to work without adequate pay. When they tried to leave, they were threatened with imprisonment or worse. 4 cases involve people who were caught trying to flee or who faced extreme danger crossing the border. They walked through the desert at night. They paid smugglers. They were shot at. Some were captured and imprisoned before they tried again. 2 cases involve people persecuted for their religious beliefs. They belong to unregistered religious groups. They were arrested for attending prayer meetings. They were held in underground cells in shipping containers. For Eritreans, the answer is clear. Return is not safe. Anyone who left the country without an exit visa, which is almost everyone, is considered a traitor. Anyone who evaded or deserted national service is considered a criminal. The documented consequences of return include arrest, indefinite detention, torture, and forced reconscription. There is no internal relocation in Eritrea. The government controls the entire country. There is no region where you can hide. There are checkpoints everywhere. You cannot move from one city to another without authorization. And even after you leave, the Eritrean government follows you. There is a 2% tax on all Eritreans abroad. If you refuse to pay, your family in Eritrea can be punished. Diaspora Eritreans report surveillance, intimidation, and threats from government agents operating in host countries. The United Kingdom and the European Union consistently recognize Eritrea as producing genuine refugees. The UK Home Office guidance specifically states that Eritreans who have left illegally or evaded national service are at risk of serious harm on return. Eritrea is one of the clearest cases for asylum that an expert witness can assess The evidence is not disputed. The United Nations, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, Freedom House, the UK Home Office, all of them agree. Eritrea is a country where the government systematically violates the rights of its own people. Indefinite national service, documented as forced labor and linked to torture, a shoot-to-kill border policy, religious persecution, enforced disappearances lasting decades, a commission of inquiry that found crimes against humanity, and a score of 2 out of 100 for political freedom. When the facts are accepted, the conclusion is unavoidable. Return to Eritrea places a person at serious risk of persecution, imprisonment, torture, or death. If you have fled Eritrea, an expert witness report can make a real difference to your case. Our team of experts based in the United Kingdom prepares independent country reports that immigration courts rely on. The link is in the description. Subscribe to this channel for more episodes in the Why People Flee series. Share this video with someone who needs it. Thank you for watching.